Can you hear me? Please give me a 1 if you can hear me. So I know that everything is A-okay. Of course, you're complaining about buffering, even though the speed test is super fast. Well, video isn't going to be that difficult because I've decided to keep my camera off tonight. So YouTube doesn't have anything to complain about. It makes it very, very little bandwidth. The audio and some static images. How you guys doing? Can you hear me okay? Shalom, shalom. Not sure if folks in the chat are hearing me. Let's see what's going on here. Shalom. Shalom. Are you away from home? Shalom in the home, yo. Shalom in the home. Okay, great. Aaron and Pei hear me. Great, Betty. Okay, shalom. Gary, Pei, Aaron. Thea, Brenda. And Betty Tipping. Glad you guys are all here. Shalom, Carol. Hey, great to have you. Have you guys experienced a daylight savings in the States? Or I'm just wondering. Is our time different now? Just wondering. So look, last week when we did the comic book, the graphic novel reading for First Kings, things got a bit dicey, right? There are all kinds of technical errors and stuff. So I thought, you know what? Let's go through that section again this week, but now I've got it colorized, and I'm not using the document camera, and I'm not using my other camera, my SLR, to show me. So let's keep it simple. And oh man, I just noticed a mistake. Oh, it says Kings 14 on the left. Why did I do that? No. Okay, I think that's pretty easily fixable. Let's see. Let's see. Wait, hold on. Sit tight. Let's see what's. I think I have it on live update. Yeah, live update. That's what I'm talking about. Let me just go through and get on a few of these slides here. Boy, you guys hear me all right? How's the audio? Loud and clear? Is it clear? You can let me know while I'm fixing these notes. I am so glad you guys are here with me. When we do it live, it's a lot more fun. I mean, I don't mind being there in the chat, right? Chatting with you when I pre-record. It's just when we're live, I don't know, kind of feels like we're really meeting together. Oh, this next weekend, Gary says, on the 9th, March 9th. All right, all right. So when it happens, we may change 30 minutes the time here in the Eastern Hemisphere. I don't change it a full hour because that's quite a disruption to the Asians, and it's not their fault that the West is whack with an ancient daylight saving so that pre-electricity times farmers could adjust and come on. So crazy. It's like a crazy person's idea in the modern era. One thing I heard Trump is promising to end, or maybe thinking about ending. Hope he does. That'd be great. They have been moving so fast, this administration. It's kind of clever, right? People can't keep up to complain. Just move super fast, and the slow moving advanced Democrats don't know what to do. It's kind of funny. All right, אנחנו יכולים ללמוד טוב עכשיו בעיניך. בי אבא, תשלח נא את רוחך עלינו. אנחנו רוצים לעבודך טוב. לעולנו ולך יהיה כל הכבוד. Okay, let's get going. So here we are with First Kings chapter 15. Yay, a new chapter. By the way, the other video is there for those of you who missed it, who like the graphic novel. It's just we had a microphone problem that kept dropping. And sometimes when I'm talking, I close my eyes and I kind of see things in my mind. And so I wouldn't even notice the people shouting at me, the microphone's out, so it's still on YouTube. It's just unlisted. I don't want people to find our channel and land on that, especially with the YouTube shenanigans we often have dealt with. So if you want it, you can find it over in Telegram in the chat. It's still there, or ask somebody for it and they can share the link or I can share it. All right. So we are live again with First Kings, this time with my hand-colored notes. So let's just scan this verse 1 first. And I'm going to make it a fairly brisk pace today, and I'm probably going to make the class longer than usual because I want to get through these 8 verses. And that takes a bit longer to do 8 verses unless we turn up the speed. So I'm thinking we'll share. Thank you, Carol. Carol's saying the audio is great. Yofi Tofi. Glad to hear it. Okay, so let's go. If it's too fast, you can always slow me down. This is something awesome about YouTube. Even live, you can slow down. You can click that gearbox over in the upper right-hand corner. It looks like a gearbox for settings. Click playback speed and select 0.75 or 0.5, whatever you like. It's up to you. And even live, it'll let you slow it down. I think that's pretty cool. All right. So here we go. Uvishnat shmoneh esreh lamelekh Yaravam ben Nevat malakh aviyam al Yehuda. And here we have, by the way, over on the left is the legend. So this is telling you what the colors mean. All right. So if you're new here or new to the visual side of things, and this is both visual learning and auditory. So you don't have to look at the screen. I am mindful of you listening types. So if you prefer, I'm trying to accommodate that. A high-pitched falsetto means it's a pronominal suffix instead of yellow for just pronoun here. I also do it for the pronouns when they're standalone. And a low kind of, oh, that's the person of the verb who's doing the verb. The other stuff I don't have sounds for yet. I don't know, maybe we'll think of something sometime. But for now, without making it confusing. Okay? Uvishnat. So what happens here? U is because it's the bump schwa rule, right? We start with a bait, and so the vowel becomes a u. The, that's in. Shanat. So shana, you know, right? Wait. Leshana haba Birushalayim. Leshana haba Birushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem, right? That we sing. We're going to be singing that soon as Pesach inches closer, ever and ever closer. Some of my family members are not fans of Pesach. I mean, they do it because of love for Hashem, but they're not fans of having to go without bread. So I love it. I just love it. I love thinking about those amazing miracles our ancestors saw. The kind of stuff that atheists say, if only God did this, I would believe. Well, he did it. He did it. How like Rabbi Mizrahi, even though I don't agree with a lot of stuff, but what he likes to say is, how could you convince all this community, these hundreds of thousands of people, to agree to a covenant that says basically they're wrong to be married to their aunties, which lots of people were married to their aunties back then, or whatever the situation was, basically restricting them further, and they got to give money and they got to do all this stuff. You got to tithe and all those things. If not having seen those miracles, because Moshe says, you saw these things that happened. So yeah, it did happen and love it. Purim's coming up first. And for Purim, we have a full reading here of the book of Esther, where I read through and translate it. And I may do it again. I may do an updated one. I'm not sure, thinking about it. Or at least go through the other one, kind of listen, and then pause it, like live. If there's something I don't like or I want to correct, chime in. That might be the way to go. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You know why that is, Gary? Because when I record live, if I bump it up, it becomes like raspy. So when I pre-record and we do the premieres, in my editing software, I bump it up usually to 170% then. Yeah, so, but the live, I've got the microphone right here close, so I'm not really sure. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, though. I appreciate all the feedback, guys. Okay. So, Shana, year, the t's makes it of. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Go back. 8. And it's kind of weird. 8, esreh. So 8, 10. So that's 18. So in the 18th year, lamelekh, belonging to that's the definite article, the hey, that hey went away, right? So we usually have, in ancient Hebrew, we have the word hal. That's how you said the. Hal. Be very careful not to write cursive. That was the. And then what happened was, if you combine that ha with another word, like melech, or we'll just say sus to make it a little bit different. Horse. Sus. That lamed, he assimilated. He went inside of the next letter. Sorry, my computer's delayed in what I'm drawing, so it's a little bit sloppy because I'm not getting the back. Okay, so that's what that dot inside is. Right? That's the ancient hal. You'll never see this in the Bible. Hal has not survived in the Bible. It's only in the prefix form. Right? It survives into Arabic from ancient Hebrew. It survives into Arabic as al. You'll hear al, like al-malaki, the king, right? So they keep it. But in ancient Hebrew, the lamed is gone. He's gone. Hey, shalom, Michael Burke. Glad to hear you live, Achi. Brenda likes live too. Great. So that's what's happening here. So we had hal melech was, so I'll just hal. Oi, wrong color. No, not yellow. You must be red. Boom. Red. Hal. And the lamed went inside, right? So we had hal melech, became ham melech. And then the hay gets wiped out. It's kind of like an old house that a Canaanite built, and his ancient Israelis came in and kicked him out. So long, it's ours now. But he leaves his footprint. He leaves the dagash, that's the dot in the middle. You don't have to watch to see this. In ancient times, there would be two mems in the melech. So ham melech, and he left the ah sound, the footprint there, right? That footprint, that's part of it. So ham melech, we put the lamed in, it becomes lamelekh. So la is two, like belonging to, in this case. That part, the is the melekh, king, belonging to the king. Lamelekh. So, uvishnat shmoneh esreh, and in Shana, year of shmoneh, 8, esreh, 10, lamelekh, lamelekh, if you're just listening, to the melech, to the king. Which king? Yaravam. Right? You'll hear, if you ever listen to like Orthodox drasha, you'll hear like Melech David, right? Instead of just saying King David, right? It'd be like, or David HaMelech, you'll hear like, actually, that's more common. David the king. Okay. Oops, some chicken scratch there. Is it disappearing? The computer's so slow right now. Disappear. Look, I'm trying to delete it. It doesn't want to go away. All right, fine. Maybe it won't bother you guys. Let's just keep going. Ben, look, it's still moving as I move my eraser. It doesn't want to die. Die, you strokes. Fine. Hey. All right, there we go. Ben Nevat. Ben is a construct form. Instead of Bain meaning son, it's Ben. Bain, son, Ben, son of. So son of Nevat. The grays are for names. Malakh, Aviam. Malakh is he reigned. Who reigned? Aviam, that's a name. Al, Ayin Lamed, over Yehuda, or in ancient times, Yehuda. He reigned over Yehuda. Let's see. Hey, Harrison's in the house. Excellent. All right, let's continue. Verse 2. 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 2 says, shalosh shanim, pardon me, shalosh shanim, that's interesting. Usually we'd see it as shanaim. I read it as shanaim because that's what you expect. Shalosh shanim, malakh Birushalayim, v'shem imo ma'acha bat Avishalom. Okay, shalosh shanim. So again, usually it's okay. That's fine. Oh yeah, that makes sense. What am I thinking? So shalosh is 3, shanim is years. My brain was thinking of like the number 2 would be shnayim, right? Same consonants, different word. Malakh, he reigned. Birushalayim. And this is just something that happens when you have a word that means whatever letters in the word, okay? And the first letter in that word is a yod. And the yod has a shwa under it. That's the colon-looking thing for those of you who are just listening. And we add an inseparable preposition to it. Like in this case, beit, kaf, or lamed. Those are the three inseparable prepositions. So what's a separable preposition? Min. That's an example of one. Min, from. Okay. And you try to add that guy there. And, well, we try to put a shwa under the inseparable prepositions. That's the way that works. Usually we want to have the shwa there. Okay. But the problem is you can't start a word with two shwas in a row. Okay. That's not allowed. So you're going to get compensatory lengthening. What's going to happen is the first shwa is going to become a chirik. A chirik. That means we're just going to, I got to make it normal size again. Sorry. It doesn't let me write on it with those colors. It's normal size. Now, usually that would be enough. You make it a chirik and we're done. Okay. But we don't say be Yerushalayim. There's no shwa there. Instead, because yod is sometimes a vowel, sometimes a consonant, just like our English Y. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. And if you're in Massachusetts, and sometimes W, value, it's going to be part of the vowel. And that's what's happening here. So he's going to go and be part of the long chirik. Wow, it's taking so to draw. I'm done drawing. It's still working on it. What are you doing? There we go. So, Birushalayim. That's in Jerusalem. Same thing happens with Yehuda. If you want to say like Judah or in Judah, we'd say Bihuda. Like Judah, Kihuda. Belonging to Judah, Lihuda. All right? I hear in synagogues, I've heard so often people, they want to say Be Yerushalayim or Be Yerushalayim or Be Yehuda. No, just Bihuda. Birushalayim. That's it. Okay? All right. In Jerusalem. I didn't make it gray. My bad. That guy should be gray. That is a proper noun. It's a proper noun. So I'm just going to circle it in gray instead, okay? Sorry for those of you who are OCD. I feel your pain. I used to do insane OCD stuff myself, so I understand. It bothers me too that it's not grayed out, and even it looks not good. Anyway, but we learned to deal with that. V'shem im O, and shame, name of the mother of O. Then we have to insert was. Oh, sound issues? I'm seeing bounce here. Can anybody else confirm that there's a sound issue? Because I'm seeing bounce on my microphone. Take refuge in Yeshua is having sound issues. I hope it's just him. Anyone else? You guys having sound, or do you hear? Okay, it sounds good on Brenda's end. So sorry, Achi, that's on your end. Yofi. Okay. And the name of his mother. Now it's the name, right? Because it is definite. It's definite. And when the last word in a construct chain is definite, what does it do? It imparts that definiteness to the other words. So for that, we're going to say the. By the way, if Pavel is watching this later, Pavel in Italy, then I took your advice, by the way, Achi. This is just the slides that I'm teaching tonight. So it's a small document. So that's not contributing to the lag. Anyway, keep thinking, Achi. So the shame, the name of, and we do say of whenever it's a, unless it sounds weird in English or your language. The name of the mother of his mother was Ma'acha. Ma'acha, that's her name. But Avishalom. So again, now the first chain with mother of him, is definite because it has a suffix on the end. It's not any old mother. We've pinned down whose mother it is. It's his mother. The second chain is definite as well. the bat Avishalom, this one is definite because it's a name. It's not any person. It's to try to say the on the first word in the chain. You guys with me? Oi, why did it use that color? It's not the color I selected. Grr. You're supposed to be orangish. Actually, yantar. Yantar is what I usually use for that. Yantar, which means amber in Russian. It's trying to draw. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Yay! Okay. So that means we put a V here, carrying the Venus, definiteness. I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. What's your definite article? Sorry, it's terrible. So the bat, the daughter of Avishalom. You guys got it? 3 ways to make a word definite. 1 is if it's got a suffix. 2 is if it's a name. Or 3 is if it actually has the definite article. Ha. All right. Let's move along. I'm not going to go through and say, okay, now you try to translate on your own tonight. We'll do that often, but not tonight. Or sorry, or today if it's early morning for you guys. Verse 3. Vaylech v'chol chato'ot aviv asa lefanayv hayah levavo shalem im Adonai Elohayv kilvav David aviv. All right. By the way, if you're wondering about the reading of David, I try to read names with at least one of the ancient pronunciations, okay? We don't need to change, right? Instead of Chava for Eve, we say Chawa because it was a wow sound. The vav was a wow back then. But the rest of it, we don't do that. Okay, so lamelekh, that's from halakh. The hay is missing. And Ibn Ezra thought that this was actually a different verb. He thought that the verb yalach was it was a verb yalach instead of halach, because usually you don't drop the hay out. But modern linguistics proven Ibn Ezra wrong, and it's fault. They didn't know about Ugaritic back then. So we know indeed it is the verb, and for some reason this guy drops the hay at the beginning. Okay, the yei at the beginning tells us it's actually should expand that the contract should include chol. I was listening to Ben Hero while I did this. May that be remedied speedily and with Yeshua. And he walked bechol in all, and it's a construct. We're going to say of. Just reminding you guys about the construct chain, and there might be some newbies here. Chato'ot, that means sins, and it's construct in my aqua box there of the father of Eve. No, not Eve's father. But the vav at the end means his. That's our pronoun. And because it's definite, the whole chain's definite, and that's why I can say the. But we don't say in the all, right? That just sounds weird in English. You can drop that, the. But we'll say in all of the chato'ot, the sins of his father. Aha! Das gefällt es mir. Auch zu lesen, Harrison. Harrison has schon geschrieben, das Klang ist sehr gut. Das klingt gut, ja? All right. Asher, Aleph Shin Resh. Now, this is a pronoun, but it's the relative pronoun. So it's referring, we're going to not the witch like, not that kind of witch, but W-H-I-C-H, Aleph Shin Resh, Asher, which, Asa, Ayin Sin Hey. Usually in Hebrew syntax and standard biblical Hebrew syntax, this is kind of like with which, like he walked in all the sins of his father, with which Asa he did. But I guess that sounds weird in English, so we'll just say which he did lefanayv, before him, velo, and not lamed aleph. Don't confuse it with lamed vav. Lo instead of lo. Hayah, he was not, or was not. If you just saw hayah by itself, it means he was not. But the levav oh, the levav of oh, the heart of him. So in biblical Hebrew, almost always, unless you're talking about anatomy, when you see the word lev or levav, heart, it means mind or the physical part in the body, right? The chat in ancient Egyptian. It's the chat for you Egyptologists out there. That's the levav or the lev. It's the absolute heart, or it's not the metaphorical heart. So this is not emotions, which is important to know, because when Yeshua answered that the most important commandment was etc., all that stuff, he's not saying it's about emotions. Like, it's not about feelings. Like, many people can misunderstand that to mean it's all about emotions, right? Like, feeling that. No problem with having emotions. That's great. We call that kavanah, right? When you're praying, to be sincere and focused and not thinking about the stock market when you're praying. Right? You're just rattling it off like a robot or something, right? So that's fine. But it is the mind, right? So it's the mind, it's the focus, it's the intention, it's the imagination, it's the levav. When it's about the emotions, it's different organs come into play. Okay, velo haya levavo, and his mind was not shalem. But you can say heart. Heart kind of catches it here. Shalem, perfect or whole, really whole. Yaim, ayin mem, with yod he, waw he. That is Hashem, the name. Elohaiv, the God, the Elohim of Iv, of him. His Elohim, his God. Kilvav Dawiv. So the kaf means like or as. Levav, the mind, but you can be little, you can say heart of, and again, it's the heart of, the mind of. Why? Because we have a name at the end, right? It's definite. Dawiv, of David. Of Eve, the father of Eve, the father of him, his father. Oh, sorry, Kenneth. It seems like, oh, it's buffering. Yeah. YouTube is now complaining that my internet's not fast enough, which is weird because, we're being oppressed. Help, help, I'm being oppressed. But really, we are. So please keep your prayers coming. This is why I often don't do live anymore, except on Shabbats. So, except on chato'ot. So, hopefully, if you want to come back and watch it again later, usually when there's wow, it says no data now. I hope it doesn't end it. Good Lord. If you want to watch it later, usually there is, YouTube fixes it later. All the stuff that they perceive as buffering. I don't know if we're just getting a non-priority status or something, because I don't turn on advertising. Or because we talk about the religion of Shalom sometimes, or we talk about the Democrats or something else. I don't know if that's happening, but anyway. By the way, a lot of people lately, I kind of feel like a lot of you think that I'm like, just because I said he's talking about of nonsense about Ukraine, saying they started the war and all that kind of stuff. Look, you can disagree with a politician and still support him. I mean, he's way better than what we would have gotten. So please don't misunderstand. I am a conservative through and through. I just don't like it when people talk nonsense and slander people unfairly, right? So, and I think the president and Vance have slandered Ukraine a little bit. So hopefully it won't matter in the long run, and we'll still get peace, and Ukraine doesn't have to, and there'll be justice. Russia gets a little bit of punishment dished out for all the evil that country has done in Ukraine. All right, let's see. Thank you, Fu. About 80% of it's coming. Oh, you understood about. Great news. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. That is a very good immersion number. If you're getting 80%, wonderful, wonderful. And a lot of the stuff there's a lot of deep stuff in the Yiddish. It's like so bizarre, but it's fun. It's fun to take a nice book like that and see how it maps languages. But that doesn't count as Bible study. All right. Verse 4. Ki le'ma'an David natan Adonai Elohaiv lo nir Yerushalayim. Again, why did I not make Jerusalem gray? That's so weird. Lehakim et beno achayaiv ulhaamid et Yerushalayim. Look, I made it gray there. So I'm not going to bother to circle it because it's too ugly with the delay right now on the computer. He, for lema'an, lamed mem, ayin nun, if you're just listening, so that, or for the purpose of, David, Natan Adonai, Hashem Natan, Nun, Tav Nun, you know this, gave, Hashem Elohai, Hashem, his God, gave to him. So it's for the sake of David, right? Key, it is. This might even be an emphatic key. That happens sometimes. Let's just mark it as sometimes key can be like an exclamation point embedded in the sentence, and you don't translate it like for or that, and or if and the other. So it might be like in Espanol they've got the upside down exclamation point, right, to let you know. So if we did it that way, we'd say it's for the sake of David that Hashem Elohai, Hashem his God, Natan, gave lo to him. Near. Okay, it's probably not gave, or it could be give, but it could also be like appointed or set for him. Near. Nun yod resh. That's a lamp. Related to the word ner, like ner tamid, the eternal light that you have in the synagogue. It's always supposed to be on by the ark. Birushalayim, in Jerusalem. Notice again, it's not bi Yerushalayim, it's Birushalayim in Jerusalem. Lehakim. So here the root is kum. It's kuf or kof, however you learn to say it. Shurik, which is vav, mem, kum. But it's a hollow verb. Those verbs that have a vav as the middle letter, they lose it oftentimes, and that's what happened here. This one, he inserted a yod, which is a sign of the hifil, the causative or elative binyan, and also the hay at the beginning is as well. So lehakim, you can tell with the lamelekh, it's going to be an infinitive, to do something. So to cause to stand up, to cause to get up, so to erect, or to raise up, et ben, et we don't translate, that's aleph tav, ben oh, the son of oh, that's the son of him, his son, achayaiv, after him. Is anybody else having it cut out like that? Like what take refuge in Yeshua? I think there's a lot of spiritual stuff that happens here, especially when we go live. I mean, Murphy's law, Murphy's the devil. That's so it could just be that, just trying to disrupt the concentration you're having or whatever. I would not be surprised. Yeah. Okay, good. Yep, that's good. Take refuge in Yeshua is rewinding. He's staying behind the live feed. That's helping. That's good. Okay. Gary says upside down. You should be excited about the sentence you're about to read. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, the last line, if you're a visual learner, this is 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 4. The last line on the screen says, ulhaamid et Yerushalayim. And le, that's a lamed, le, to ha'amid, another hifil. So the verb is amad, ha'in mem dalet, which is to stand. But this is a hifil. Ha'amid. There's a yod jammed in before the dalet there. Okay? So that's to cause to stand. Right? It's a synonym with hakim, lehamid, and to cause to stand, to fortify, perhaps, at Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. How you guys doing? You doing all right? Time check. Oh, yeah, we are going a bit long. Let's see, what's the next verse? Let's do it. Let's make it long every once in a while. Why not? Verse 5. I'm just going to scan it. Asher asa David et hayashar beinei Adonai velo sar mikol. Asher tzivahu kol yemei chayaiv rak bidvar Uriah hachiti. Okay. Asher, how? Asa David did et hayashar, the yashar, the upright. So it's like that which was upright. Beinei Adonai. So Hashem, it's Yod He Wav He, is a name. So that's going to make the whole thing definite. In the einei, in the einayim, in the eyes of Hashem. You can also translate that in Hashem's sight, in the Lord's sight, if you like to use that Christian way of doing it with all capital letters. I love how our Christian brothers and sisters do that. In their Bibles, they write big L, big O, big R, big D. That's fantastic way of capturing the Jewish reverence for the sacred name of God, right? They're not going to write out with the letter Y his name sacrilegiously showing disrespect, but they write big L, big O, big R, big D, so they know that it's Hashem. It's God's name there. I love it. I love it. That's a great tradition. Sar. So this is a hollow verb. It's from, and as I mentioned before, hollow verbs that vav disappears. So velo and not. Sar, turned. It means to turn. Mikol, that's from min, right? But now it's just mikol, from all. Asher, which. Tzivahu. Tziva, it might be a little hard to recognize, but once you know it's related to mitzvah, okay, so it's commanded who? He commanded him. Okay. From all which he commanded him, the hey from tzava has disappeared because it's a lamed hey verb, right? It's a verb ending in hey, and the hey went away. Nice. 70% on verse 4. Foo, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Kol yemei chayaiv. Okay. Construct chain. The last word's definite because it has a vav on the end. It's saying his. Chayaiv, it's from chayim, like lechayim. Chayim, or it's a boy's name, right? Chayim. Chayim means life. You delete the mem when you want to put a suffix on the end, right? So chayaiv, or originally chayaiv. So the life of him. So that's going to make the whole chain definite. So we can try to say the all, sounds weird in English, of the yemei. That's construct from yamim, which are days. So all of the yemei, days of chayaiv, the life of him, all of the days of his life. Sounds like a Hebrew soap opera. Kol yemei chayaiv. Sorry. For kof, only bidvar Uriah, the matter of Uriah. Again, it's the, because it's a name. The davar, the matter of Uriah Hachiti, the Hittite. Right? So only in that matter did David sin. And I shared last time, I don't know if it made it through, that we have a Jewish tradition, it's in the Talmud, it's in various midrashim, that David did technically not commit adultery. Right? And I know it sounds alarming and weird, and there's detractors even in the Talmud that think that's ridiculous as well. Some of the rabbis say, oh, this is just his descendants who made up this lie about him because they're so embarrassed of the adultery, right? Okay, I used to believe that was true. I used to think that opinion was true. Until I went really deep in the Psalms. And when you're in Psalm 51, and David says, against you I have sinned. But it's not just you, it's levadecha, you alone, against you alone have I sinned. You see? How could he say that if he murdered someone who didn't deserve to be murdered and committed adultery? You see? So it's very interesting. So without recapping all that now, just in a nutshell, the high points of the Midrash, we know when David goes to get the documents from his brothers, his father sends him and says, go get their documents. Okay, Yishai sends them to the front, and he goes and gets it. Tradition says that those were their divorce documents, because when men would go away to war, they would divorce their wives, so that if they were missing in action or taken prisoner, the wives would not become agunot, right? And aguna is like a chained woman, meaning she's not allowed to marry, because we don't know the status of her husband. And in those days, if a woman didn't have a man and she's, say, her father's dead or whatever, what's she going to do? It was a very difficult economy. So men would give them divorces before they left with the under. So if this is true, technically didn't commit adultery by the letter of the law, but it still didn't pass the smell test, right? And we, in that same tradition, we understand that Uriah had, without going into all of it, with the knots, I'm not going to get off. Uriah had done something in disobedience to the state, which meant he was under a death sentence. He was a ben mavet, supposed to be executed by the king. But because David fell in love with his wife, he didn't want to publicly execute him because he was concerned about what people would think of him. Oh, I see. Now you married her. You just want his wife, so you killed the guy, when really he's supposed to kill him. There's a death penalty on his head. And so instead he does it kind of secretly. And so this is supposedly what the problem is. There is a hole in this. Because if you remember Natan HaNavi, he tells the whole story There's a guy, he's got a pet sheep. It's like a daughter to him, and the rich guy takes a sheep and kills it and feeds it to some people. And David gets so ticked, he's like, "This is the Ben Mavi. This guy's got the death penalty. Where is he? So I can kill him myself." Right? So there's a little bit of, I think that's a pretty large argument against the Midrash. Even so, we have a problem in Psalm 51. How could he possibly have the chutzpah to say, "Against you alone"? Against you alone have I sinned, talking to Hashem. Because clearly, if the Midrash is false, then he also sinned. So then it's a lie. He also sinned against Uriah and also against Hashem. Also, it's a death penalty offense. He should have died as well. So in that the technicality of all makes sense why David would be like, "Must I die?" And the prophet says, "No, not you, but the baby that you sired, right? He's going to die. Definitely will die. Mot yumat, indeed will die." So anyway, okay. I don't want to go into all that. It's very interesting stuff if you're not aware of it before. But Gary says, "Yeah, like a dead man walking." Yeah. Brendan said, though he didn't break the law, right? Because wait, did I finish? I got my midrash. Okay. The midrash. Umilchamah vein v'Avraham vein Yaravam kol yemei chayaiv. Okay. And milchamah. Why is it bump shwa roll? I've color coded it for the visual learners. The shurik is green and the is green in the word bump. That's our bump shwa rule. So the m in bump, that's the mem. So because it starts with the m in bump shwa, the vav isn't going to be pointed as a ve, but it's going to be an u. Okay, and milchamah. The root is lacham or like lechem, to fight. Although usually to fight we see it in nifal, milcham. Milchamah means war, and war. There's a little bit of emphasis here, right? I'm going to color this in magenta. That's usually what we use for emphasis, even though I don't have that in my legend today. Sorry about that. Because usually we have verb followed by subject. And unless you're answering a question, or if it's poetic, then when the subject comes first, and this is the subject, and haytah is the verb, then that usually expresses some kind of emphasis, right? So it's something like umilchamah haytah, and war was vein Yeruchalam, between uvein and bump shwa. This is the B in the bump, the bait. Uvein and between, and the reason it's uvein and not because bait is a begad kifat letter. Uvein in between Yaravam. So the two kingdoms, the northern and southern kingdom, had haytah. There was, and it's from the verb hayah. The hay became a tav, going back to its ancient form when we put the hay on the end for she. She was, because milchamah is a girl. Kol yemei hayayv, all the days of his life. And I have a little note here to the word day, yamim. Listen, if you're listening only, yamim. Notice it's yamim. But here it's called yemei. What happens? If you want to know what it's called the pre-tonic comets rule. And no, it has nothing to do with alcoholic drinks. It's because there is a comets under the yod, and the accent is elsewhere. So when you have a yod with a comets, that's the thing that looks like a capital T, the ah, the full ah sound, or o if you're doing it in Ashkenazi, and the accent comes later, then when that accent moves, that ah, the stress gets reduced and it becomes a vocal schwa, eh. Or the Yemenites even pronounce that as a little ah, ah. So that even makes more sense. The ah became an ah, right? So yemei, days of chayaiv, life of him. Okay? Maybe I'll read this one more time. I'm not sure if I pounded home well enough. Umilchamah, and war. Haytah, literally she was, vein, between. V'Avraham, that guy. In Hebrew, you always need two veins. You can't just, like in English, we say between so and so and so and so. In English, you got to say between so and so and between so and so. And if there's somebody else and between, you keep adding the bain. Okay? So vein Rechavam, vein Yaravam. And between that guy. Kol yemei chayaiv. It's definite, so the whole thing gets the all, doesn't sound good in English, of the yamim, the days of chayaiv, the life of him. Okay, how you guys doing? Kenneth says perhaps it is because David is king. As king, began to see himself as the king, becoming greater than Hashem. Rules are for thee, not for me. Yeah, this happens with his son. At least the sages say. Chazal say the reason why it's so sad, the tragedy, right? What happened to Shlomo HaMelech is that he understood that the Torah restricts the king, right? The normal man isn't restricted, but the Torah is restricted. 18 wives is the limit for a normal man. I mean, for a king, not for a normal man, right? The number of horses are restricted for the king, not for a normal man. The amount of gold and wealth he can have is restricted, not for a normal man, right? So the king is actually under more restrictions, halakhically, from this is our tradition. I mean, we could be wrong, right? That's the tradition. And so, but Shlomo said, I can have more than 18 women. What's the problem? I'm so wise. And he rationalized it as God supernaturally gave me wisdom. It wasn't like from a place of ego. He said, God gave me wisdom supernaturally above any other person. I'm the wisest person in the earth. This doesn't apply to me. And so then he goes and takes, he takes shiksas, he takes pagan wives, women who were not loyal to the God of Israel. And it's not about the number. That's not the problem, really. The problem is that the very first one he took was an Egyptianess. It was a pagan, an idolatress, rather, right? So that's the real issue. If he had only taken one and it was her, it's still enough. But so he had also excess gold and excess all this stuff. So he violated Torah says the king's not supposed to do. So it's kind of similar to what you're saying there, Harrison. Or wait, was it Harrison? Sorry if that was somebody else. Okay. Gary says Yeshua pointed out that divorce laws were made for men, but do not please Hashem. Yes, divorce is not Hashem's will for anybody, except in the case of adultery, right? Adultery. Or, even though Yeshua didn't name this, I think he didn't feel he had to name it because all the Jews knew, pekuach nefesh, like life threat. So if a man is beating his wife, I think it's fair for the woman to initiate divorce because you never know when that's going to escalate and she could be murdered. Let's see. Okay. Kings in our day see themselves above the Ten Commandments. So true. Harrison said, thanks so much, Rob. Another excellent lesson in the can. We'll review. Great, Achi. Well, guess what? There's more. You can't get this in any store. Oh, and let me get rid of our Patreon banner. It's covering up part of it. By the way, thank you to my patrons. We really need your help. Our family of 8 subsists on a salary less than half of a single New York fast food worker, okay, based on the average salary. So when I put this patreon.com/Hebrew literacy up here, it's not just because I'm greedy and want some new tech or something. We really do need your support. And so I appreciate it. I hate to ask for it, but there it is. And now it's gone. So, all right, verse 7. Asa ha lo haim ketuvim al sefer divrei hayamim lemalkh Yehuda or Yehuda umilchamah haytah beinei Yaravam. All right. So we'll go through this one pretty quickly. Veyeter, and the rest, the remnant, the remainder of divrei, that's construct from devarim, the matters pertaining to aviam, vechol, and all asher, which asa he did. Halo, this is like the pregunta en español, an upside down question mark. It's a hey interrogative. Are not, halo, are not, haim, they. Ketuvim, written, that's a passive participle plural. Al, upon. Sefer divrei hayamim. Nice long contract chain. We have ha at the end, so ha applies to all of it. So the sefer, the scroll of the divrei, that's from devarim, the matters, the affairs of hayamim, the days. Le malakh, belonging to or concerning the malakh Yehuda, the kings of Yehuda, of Judah. Umilchamah, and war, haytah, was beinei aviam, between aviam, uvein, and between Yaravam. And guess what? One more verse for you tonight. We just aren't stopping. Making up for last week's technical issues. Verse 8, and then we'll be done. Look, we have a nice fey here, or if you're just listening, there's a fey, which means in the scroll, there's a large set of white space. My friend Joshua in Britain, Joshua Sabo, if you're hearing, Shalom Achi. He says it reminds him of paragraph in Hebrew. If you wrote paragraph with a pay, so it's a paragraph marker. All right, verse 8. Vayishkav Aviam Ye'im Avotayv Vayikberu Ot'o Be'el David Vayimloch Asa Veno Tachtayv. All right. Vayishkav B'shakav Shin Kav Kaf Shin Kav Kav Shin Kav. Goodness, Kaf. I keep making the F vocalized. Wait. Shakav, we say this in the Hafta all the time, right? Uveshoch. And when the shachaving of ha, of you, and when you sleep, like literally when you lay down. Yishkav, he will lay down. Vayishkav, and he laid down. Who laid down? Aviam. Ye'im, ayin mem, with avotayv. That's the avot of Iv, his fathers, his ancestors. Vayikberu, and they kavard. Kuf, bait, reish, they buried. By the way, I have some notes on Begad Kafad, why we have a dagesh in the kaf, in Vayishkav, and in the bait in Vayik Beru. The reason is the Begad Kafat rule. That's a mnemonic to tell you when a weak dagesh shows up. If the letter is a letter that makes a sound b, g, d, k, f, or t, and it is not preceded by a vowel sound, and that's what's happening here. Silent shwa, Vayish, not Vayisha, Vayish, and Vayik, not Vayika, then that guy just shows up. The daga shows up, okay? So that's why that's there. Just a little review. Vayikberu, and they buried Oto, him, Be'el David, in the Ayin Yod Resh, in the city of David. Vayimlo, means he, malakh, and he reigned. Who reigned? Sa, Aleph, Samech, Aleph. Veno, the son of his son. Taiv, Tachat. Remember, you think about, it's usually written without a dagish in the final tav. So in Ashkenazi reading, Tachat is read Tachas. And so you can see how in Yiddish it became Tuchas. It's the part that's Tachat, it's under you, right? So Taiv, under him, which means in his stead, in his place. Okay? I'll just read through one more time. We'll be done. Translate the best you can. Vayishkav Aviam, Aim Avotayv. Vayikberu oto be'el David. Vayimloch asa v'no tachtayv. Tachtayv. Israelis all hey. It should be height. Okay. Gary says, but wait, there's more. Bonus. All right, I do in the beginning of these immersion classes. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so glad you're all here, especially the live one. That was so cool. And if you missed the live, leave a comment down below. I do read the comments. If you write a question and I don't respond, then somehow I didn't see your comment. Or I saw it, I'm like, I'll respond later. I try to respond to everything. Even the anti-Semitic stuff, I try to respond to. All right? So I will catch you guys tomorrow as we go through Koheleth, the wisdom literature, the book of Ecclesiastes. Until then, shalom, shalom.